Morning, morning, or afternoon, afternoon, or evening, evening.
It's a little both. It's at 4:27 in the afternoon here. The
All right,
day
how
just
you keep?
the day, let's see. This is Thursday and it's Friday for you, right?
Correct. I'm in the future, and you're living in
Yes.
the past.
Yes. My
Where
girlfriend
in?
my girlfriend lives there, so I go there quite often, so I'm used to the difference of time.
You've adapted to
Yes.
the multi-zone time living.
Yes.
Whereabouts in the world are you right now?
I'm in Ohio, Akron, Ohio, where I live. I'm home right now. So I've been on the road the past year and a half with KK's Priest, so it's nice to be home for a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. I was going to say you probably didn't get to see your home too often.
No, no. And then I come home and I want to take some time off, but then I come down here and I record music. So what am I doing? I'm guest singing on everybody's music. I love to guest sing on people's projects. So uh I figured if I'm gonna be sitting home doing nothing, I might as well guest sing on people's music. So it's fun.
Yeah, yeah. So that was going to be one of the questions I was going to ask you about later in the interview. But seeing as you bring it up now, I saw that you did guest vocalists for an Australian band called Carbon Black last year for
Yeah.
a song called Under Order.
Yeah.
How did that all happen?
I've done a few for a few Australian bands. I can't think of them offhand. Some really cool stuff I've done. But what happens is I come home, I don't do anything. I got time off, so I will, if I'm not recording, KK's Priest or my own stuff, uh, I'll post on social media, hey, I'm home, got some time. If anybody wants me to guest sing on your project, I'll just post it on Facebook. And and I usually get them where I do a couple a week. Um, I'm working on one right now as we speak down here, um, and they got a hold of me, and um, it's always nice because it's all kinds of different music that I do. So it was now I think it's probably a third or fourth Australian band that I've done something for now, and I always like it because a couple days ago I worked on a song that was like death metal and power. I mean, death metal and just aggressive. And I had to sing all that, and it was great. And then today's song is the complete opposite. It's like it went from full on throat bleeding stuff to uh kind of sissy like stuff. So it's pretty funny. I get all these different things, but it's fun to do, and I wouldn't have the opportunity to do it, and it's great with social media. You just post it on there, and you say, hey, let's do something.
Yeah, well, you've got such prolific um, amount of releases that you've done in your time and so many different bands that you've been able to front and sing with. But I guess this is another way to also help you sort of explore different parts of music that maybe you haven't touched, and perhaps even increase the range of what you're doing, and then also in turn expose you to other influences that you can then bring back and introduce into your own music and your own projects.
Yeah, it is that, and I think obviously people have anybody that's heard the Jugulator record knows that because death metal singing and that low sings on that whole record. It's underneath almost everything on that record. It's filled with that stuff. Glenn really wanted to tap into that, and I think if people, that's the one area that people don't ever think I do, even though 12 years ago I sat in with Sepultura and I've sang in cover bands coming up singing Slayer and whatever it was I was doing. But people always forget that I do it. So whenever I get those opportunities, you're right, because I grew up singing, learn my favorite singers were people who were singing characters or who were very versatile. Rob Halford, Ronnie James Dio was my biggest. One minute he could sound like a woman, the next minute he sound like the devil. Um, David Bowie, big influence of mine. People who like, just singing characters. So whatever people throw at me, I actually have a harder time with the like the one I'm working on today is harder than the heavy one that I worked on yesterday because Uh, it's a little higher natural voice. The singer doing it's a little more mellower than me. I'm going to be a little more ballsier than that. It's but probably that kind of stuff is the '70s kind of stuff. This kind of has an Yngwie guitar player and stuff like that, so it's a little bit different, but it's fun to tackle and do. You do it until I love to do it because you're 100% right. You learn. You're always learning. I'm always learning singing, and in the past, I would learn off other singers. Chris Cornell taught me a lot listening to some Soundgarden, and then him singing Cochise with Audioslave. I learned different vocal techniques from listening to Chris Cornell. And he's really raw. He was really raw, like, not cleaned up. So it was cool to listen to. So it's,
Yeah.
you're always learning. I'm always listening to something and trying to learn it.
Yeah, and that's what you mentioned about the rawness. That's where all the character and individuality of your voice is. It's where someone hears a record, they're going to unmistakably know that it's you, and it's all been so processed, so clean. It
Yeah.
could be anyone.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. And, that's why a lot of the stuff you hear, like the KK's Priest record, the last one, my last EP, Return to Death Row, it's all pretty raw. I mean, that KK's Priest record, Return to Death Row, the KK's Priest record, the last one we did, I recorded that right in this spot right here, sitting in this chair with my laptop. I recorded that record, and it's fucking unbelievable. And it's, I don't have auto tune on this. I don't do it. They might have to auto tune something there. I always say, listen, if you got auto tune something, you can go ahead and do it, but it sounds perfect to me. I just sit here and do my vocals right here and send it away. It's like, here you go. And it's that last record was so, I just love the vocals on it. It's just so aggressive and so in your face and has its mellow songs, but it's, and, I don't sit in the studio and do it over and over again. I just sit right here. And when I was recording, I would have some coffee. I'd go outside and have a cigarette and have a cup of coffee, and then I come back and do it again. And it was pretty fun.
And I can imagine that would then make, the engineer's job a lot easier if you're just nailing your takes at
Well,
home, making the magic happen.
it's either going to make it easier or they're getting it going, what in the hell is this? What I do is I sing a lot of tracks. Like I'll double. I started singing one main track instead of doubling it, but I always double the main one usually. And they can use one line. They can use one track. They can they can track it or comp it or keep. But I always sing everything where it fits. So I'll do a regular one, a low one. I'll double. Then I'll do a high one. So I'll give them all those tracks just for the verse, and they have all that to choose from. But it always fits. It's not like something's going to go in there and go, that's not supposed to be there. No, it all fits together. It's just you probably should take some of it out because I gave you too much, but I give you that. This one right now I started working on. I already got, the main one doubled for a verse and then a low one, and it's it's just kind of. But I started trying to not double all the verses. I started trying to go, maybe I should just sing one main line and then double low part and then pan it out off. I do it when I don't pan it when I send it to them, but I kind of make little mixes for me to hear. But I give people usually 12 tracks of vocals. And it's, I've already used 4 tracks. Actually, I've already used 8 tracks because at the beginning I do weird things like, if you can hear, I use 4 tracks that just go at the beginning. Engineers use things to do that, right? They go into producers. I give it to them, me doing it like old school. I do things old school. So the song, listen to this. This is me just going. That's how and now when the song's now the song, you can hardly even hear it. You can hardly hear it. Listen, this beginning, it goes. It just kind of fits. I'm kind of old school like that. It's because Well, it's because I don't know how to do the other stuff. I just so I do a lot of little things like that during songs and little things, But I sit here and I love to just sit here and do it. Some of it's really good, some of it's not. It probably does need fixed up by an engineer who's there. They might need to go, yeah, let's clean this up a little bit, or let's auto tune something. I mean, you know, we all can use that, but the difference is I can re-sing it live. I don't get auto tuned because I can't sing. I get auto tuned because I might be a little bit flat, but I can't. It sounds normal to me. Yngwie did a great thing with me.
Hmm.
Of all people, when I recorded with Yngwie, I remember recording. I'm like, I'd sing it, and I go, all right, we listen to it, and I go, let me go do it. I'll do it better. And he goes, nope, that's good. He goes, let's just keep that because that might be it. And then you might just burn yourself out trying to do it better. Let's just keep that. And it was a weird one for me because Yngwie, as a perfectionist, was just like, that's good. That's good enough.
Yeah, and sort of like the classic Ingve quote is always going to be, more is more. So yeah, the fact to
That's
hear that he does know how to dial it back when he wants to.
Well, that's the weirdest part, right? That's why I've always say it's strange that he was just like, I'd be like, hey, Yngwie, how was that? And I'd look out there and he went off to take a shit somewhere, So he was great. He was, he was easy and fun to work with in the studio. It was really great. But yeah, more is more, and unless it's somebody else, then I get less is more, I guess. So,
Yeah, I guess it's all about the context, isn't it?
I guess it's going to be like, well, we're not going to hear those vocals anyways because I'm going to be soloing over them.
Yeah, I'm
He
going to
was
be shredding.
he was fun though, and it was because I went from being with Judas Priest recording Jugulator, and Glenn would have me do it a million times. I mean, it was these weren't songs that were written just like we were writing them then, and he was telling me what to sing. There was no guide vocals. It was kind of like a guitar vocal or guitar. And man, I would sing those things over and over and over until I felt like my throat was bleeding, because there was a lot of pressure, and also he had a lot to work with my voice that was different things from Rob. He was used to working with Rob's, and then he's got some new that he's like, let's try this,
Hmm.
let's try this, and
Be a bit more of a puppet master.
yeah, he's like, let's do the death metal vocals here underneath, and I told him my brother liked that stuff and listened to a lot of it, or hardcore or whatever, whether it's propane or whatever it was he was listening to, more hardcore. And every time Glenn would go, your brother Troy would like that one, wouldn't he? Or he would say, do it for your brother. So it was pretty funny.
Give you that motivation. Now,
Yes.
the reason we're chatting today is because we are expecting you to be returning once again to our shores. You're coming to what sounds like it's your other home, Australia,
Yeah,
amongst all
yeah.
your other homes.
Yeah. I keep coming there. Uh and I go into the mountains. I go into the Blue Mountains. She lives in Katoomba in the Blue Mountains by Sydney. And I played last year. I did two shows last year. And I got the McDonald brothers, Jordan and Joel and Voya's on guitar, and Andrew Hudson's on bass. I played two shows last year in Sydney and Melbourne, and God, it was so good, man. It was so good. It was a great crowd, packed. The band's so good that I called Joel and said, let's do it again, And then we got a hold of Doug Dalton, and because when I came about 12 years ago, Doug was just starting off Hardline Media, and Doug was in my band. He was the guitar player in my backing band. So um it was really cool. And so we did it, we actually are just adding two New Zealand shows, I think, onto the and maybe by the time this comes out, by the time I get there, there'll be some more shows in Australia added. Who knows? But yeah, February, Valentine's Day is the first show. So it's so romantic too. Because what better than to bring your girlfriend or your wife or your boyfriend or whoever to have me serenade him with Burning Hell? I mean, it's such a romantic song.
Yeah, just
Or
lay
be
out that bed of roses.
Yes, or Beyond the Realms of Death. I mean, these are you picture red, so it's like a um I guess I should have did Heart of a Killer from Winter's Bane, but yeah, so it's uh we got, let me look here. We got Melbourne the 14th, February 20th, Sydney, February 22nd, Brisbane, the 23rd, Adelaide, and the 24th, Perth. So it's pretty good. It's a good set list, a little different from the last time I was there. Obviously, I added some KK's Priest into the set, a couple KK's Priest songs, and um, I think I added a Beyond Fear song in there. So it's got some heavy songs in there.
Yeah, I was having a look into the people you'd chosen from your backing band, and yeah, seeing that you've chosen a fair few heavy hitters from the Australian music community.
Yeah.
Sounds like you've already got some good established relationships with a lot of them, if not all of them. But yeah, I was looking into Joel McDonald because I personally wasn't too familiar with him, and oh, at least not knowingly. Once I'd read what he's done, then he was like, okay, yeah, I've heard a lot of what this guy's done. But the thing that stood out to me the most is his Frankie's world famous backing band, or house
Yeah.
band, sorry, for playing at Frankie's Pizza by the Slice, which was, unfortunately, you have to say was, a very much loved venue in Sydney that just played host to so many bands of all levels. Yet another venue that has, closed and gone by the wayside. Now, you've been in this game for quite a long time, seen a lot of stuff. How's, and also I guess having the perspective of not just one scene. You've done a lot in America, you've done a lot in the UK, you've done a lot here in Australia. Overall, how are you seeing like the music industry and venues, and how's that all looking from your perspective?
Well, it's tough. I mean, Jordan, he Frankie's Pizza actually was doing great. They actually sold it. I think they wanted. I don't think he had much of a choice. I think they built like a parking lot deck there where it was at. So I think that was the reason with that. I think he was doing fantastic. He went on and Jordan owned it, and Joel, the McDonald brothers, and Joel was played there, but they were both. Jordan's the drummer, and he's fucking unbelievable. But it's tough. I mean, the place I played at in Melbourne last time with those guys, which was sold out, it's closed down. Um, can't remember the name of it now. Um, but it's tough. It's not, the smaller scenes are okay. Um, but there's a lot. I think one reason is there's a lot of people touring. I mean, in America, it's just nonstop. Our KK's Priest tours did pretty good in America, but it's expensive for big band. Like we can't come to Australia, KK's Priest. We tried. We're hopefully going to do it, but we tried to get there, but it was the expense and the guarantees and the expense just wasn't adding up. So KK's not doing it. We're not a new band that goes and loses or breaks even or whatever. But it's tough out there. I mean, there's bands who cancel a lot now because of low ticket sales. I've seen them cancel coming to Australia. I think that Judas Priest girls tribute band was coming there and had to cancel a lot of bands, and it's because of the expense. I'm fortunate that my band's there, right? So I'm lucky, and that's how I tour a lot. I tour all over the world solo, and I have bands that I have in different parts of the world, so I can go tour. Because I couldn't afford to tour on my own with my band here. But it's tough all over the world. It's pretty good in America right now, I think. But I think it's just the same as everywhere. But it's still a metal scene. It's still there. I think it's just saturated with a lot of stuff. I mean, when we toured with KK's Priest this last time, Iron Maiden was touring on the West Coast when we were touring. Judas Priest was touring. Megadeth was touring. Judas Priest would be playing. I think they might have made their tour just to play this next city when we were there on purpose. Because we would play Canada, Toronto, and then the next day they were playing in Niagara Falls, which is right up the street. but that's how it is, you know. So I think it's really tough and it's expensive. So what happens is everybody spends their $300 on an Iron Maiden ticket and 150 or whatever Judas Priest is in America. Maiden's probably 100 and some, and Priest is probably 50 or something like that in America. I'm guessing 50, 60. But that becomes a lot of money, right? I mean, it's people don't have
Especially
the
when you add in picking up some merch,
yeah,
t-shirt or two.
yeah. So it becomes expensive, but you know, it's out there, and I had a good time at the corner or the Crowbar in Sydney where I played last time. Uh, I really had a good time there. So um, I'm looking forward to doing these shows. I think Perth and Adelaide is going to be tough because I think it's like a Sunday and Monday or something like that, or something. I think they're really, uh, which was very strange to me, going all that way to play on a Monday. But um, those might be tough. I heard Adelaide's a tough sell right now. A lot of bands have been telling me that Adelaide's been a lot of low ticket sales in Adelaide. So I'm going to change that. I just said in the last interview I did, I said, listen, if you want KK's Priest to come there, these shows, this is like the tester, right? It's like if I can't sell out these shows or at least pack these places, there's not a chance in hell KK's Priest is going to come. You know, if you can't, you know, because we're obviously going to be playing bigger places with KK's Priest. If I can't sell these places out or pack them, KK's Priest, KK is going to look at this and go, yeah, that's not going to happen. You know, we're not going there.
Yep. So old Tim's out on the road doing the market research.
Well, I don't think KK knows that. I've made my own market research. I'm going to call him and say, Ken, actually, he'll look at it. He'll look at the photos. He'll look at things, you know, and promoters will look at the same thing because obviously KK's Priest it's weird. It's an unbelievable show. I mean, unbelievable. The screens and the band and the set list and, you know, we are a live band that brings it live. And it's really, really, I mean, people can look at the internet and look at the shows. So it's a different animal. But this is my little teaser. I did a show in South America last year, a tour, and I said the same thing to the people. You want us to come? I mean, you got to pack these shows. You know, show me that you love metal. Just don't talk about it.
Well, that's generally always the best thing about metal, wherever it is in the world, is yeah, the community aspect of it and bringing everyone together under that united banner of metal to get down and enjoy the musicianship, the people around you, maybe a couple of sneaky cold brews,
Yes.
and grab a shirt.
Last time I was in Melbourne, I had a guy out in the crowd, and he was so excited. He was standing next to my girlfriend the whole time, and he didn't know that was her and he was like, I started saying on stage because I'm allowed to say it in Australia. So I said it, and
Nice.
I think I might have called the crowd a bunch of, and I think I said, "Oi, Chuck," I said, "Tinny." I think that's what I said to him, and the guy started saying he was just yelling, "Ripper, Ripper." He was at his beer, Ripper, and he looked at my girlfriend. He said, "I don't get out much. I got kids at home and I got a job. I don't get out much." And he's going, "Ripper." And I'm like, this is fantastic. This is great.
Yeah, it's like he's making the most of his trip out and
Yep.
every dollar spent.
Yeah.
And it sounds like yeah, you're just about on your way to be a certified local, picking up the lingo so well.
Well, between that and being in, you know, in England so much, you know, becomes this, it's like a second language, and you come here and they don't like it, you know. So the women don't like that here. My girlfriend lived in America when she was young, and she could never figure out why the women didn't like it here so much. And I always said the same thing. So now I like to come home and say it. Anytime I come back, anytime I'm on stage in America after I come back from there, I like to say it on stage. And people love it. They laugh at me because they know I just take the piss out of them all. So I'm always like, hey, you know, uh, I just love to say it. I'm learning as I go along all the and the way to say it, right? Because if I say it's nice, right? But you just got to be careful in how you say it, even there.
Yes, tone and inflection is very important.
But I think it's because I just say it the same way. I say, "Oh, you fucking," you know. It's I so it's I think I just kind of say it the same way. If you come to the show, I'll make sure I call you when you're out there.
All right, well, I appreciate that very much, Tim. So yeah, we're all looking forward to coming out to Australia, calling some of us, if not all of us.
Yeah, a good.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, the reverse of that is a shit.
Yeah, yeah, yep.
So yeah,
So,
one
well,
will make you
listen,
friends,
everybody,
one will not.
go to my website, my website, or Facebook pages, Instagram, Twitter, whatever you go to. It's got ticket information, or Hardline Media has all the ticket information in the show. So everybody just message Doug Dalton and get on him.
Awesome. Yeah, so we'll do that community outreach. We'll get the word out there.
Yes.
We'll get these shows now, and hopefully we then also inspire KK to get it together and throw out the big dollars and bring the whole band to Australia. Otherwise, at
We
least we know all we need is one seat and carry-on luggage, and we can get Tim out.
Yes, he is ready. It's all he's talked about is coming to Australia and Japan, and he just wants to hit them all. So let's get us all out there.
All right, that sounds absolutely amazing. And you have an amazing rest of your day, and thanks again so much for chatting with
All right,
Sense
buddy.
today.
All right. Thanks a lot. We'll see you.